This lecture was delivered by Aziz Rajpari on July 21, 2019, on the topic of free will, with an emphasis on submission. We invite you to listen with an open heart and reflective mind as we journey through this profound exploration. Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack compelling sources, looking for those surprising insights and really powerful takeaways. Today, we're diving into something pretty deep, free will, but specifically looking at it through the lens of submission. Our source material is an insightful lecture by Aziz Rajpari, and we'll also be drawing on some really rich guidance, the farmans from the Imams.
Yeah, and what's really striking right from the start is how free will is framed. It's not just some abstract philosophical thing. It's presented as, well, a divine gift, but also, and this is crucial, a spiritual test. So this deep dive, I think, will really shed light on a core truth, that genuine spiritual acts, those moments of real devotion, they're never forced. They have to come from choice. From willing choice. And that changes how we think about our own journey of remembrance, our connection.
It's a really powerful way to look at it, isn't it? So our mission today, really, is to pull out those key nuggets of wisdom, to kind of peel back the layers in these teachings and hopefully find truths that connect with how you, the listener, choose to engage with faith, with your inner life, or after those aha moments, the ones that can light up your own path.
Okay, so let's really get into this. Free will as a divine gift. The source material makes this striking point. Remembrance, whether it's of the divine or the Imam, it's not imposed on us. It doesn't bypass our own will. Why is that lack of force so important for spiritual acts?
Well, that's exactly it. That's where the value comes from, the sincerity. Think about it. If every prayer, every moment you remember or reflect was somehow automatic or forced, would it even be devotion anymore? Or just, robotic compliance?
Right, like ticking a box versus actually meaning it.
Precisely. It's like giving a gift freely versus being made to give it. The meaning is completely different, right? For everyone involved. And the lecture contrasts this really well with something it calls spiritual forgetfulness. Spiritual forgetfulness, what does that entail?
It's described as a kind of symptom of being veiled. And it's not just being busy, though that's part of it. It's more like a spiritual dullness. That can set in from, all the worldly distractions, the comfort of just going through the motions, maybe even a bit of complacency when life feels easy. We get so wrapped up in everything outside that the inside connection just fades a bit.
That makes a lot of sense. And it leads right into those really poignant questions from the lecture, doesn't it? Like, would we remember Imam if we weren't tested? And that other one, wow, do we only cry for the Imam when life shakes us?
Exactly.
It almost suggests we're often just reacting spiritually, not proactively choosing.
It does lean that way. And if you connect that idea to suffering, well, suffering isn't framed as punishment here, not at all. It's presented more like a reminder, a divine nudge maybe.
A nudge.
Yeah, like a mechanism. Life's tests bring this sudden, sometimes sharp clarity. They shake the soul awake. We know when it might have drifted off into that spiritual sleepiness.
Like a spiritual alarm clock.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
An alarm clock for when you've gotten maybe a bit too comfortable, too complacent.
And what's really fascinating is how the lecture suggests that those really tough times, moments of loss, serious illness, big hardships, they often crack us open for reflection. It's in those vulnerable moments we might ask the really honest questions, like, why have I felt so far away? And the source suggests that pain can actually become a doorway to sincerity. It lifts those veils you mentioned, lets remembrance flow more freely, more genuinely.
What a paradox, isn't it?
It really is. What looks like a setback could actually be pushing us towards a spiritual opening.
Exactly. Our usual defenses are down. We're more open, more receptive maybe to truths we'd normally ignore.
So the lecture then pivots, moving beyond just, avoiding bad stuff or hoping for good stuff. It introduces Ishq, divine love. How does that shift our understanding of why we remember?
Ishq. This is presented as fundamentally higher. Remembrance that comes from Ishq, from pure love, is seen as superior to remembrance driven by fear of hell, or even just hoping for paradise. And this is captured so powerfully in Rabia Basri's famous prayer, which the source includes. She says, "O God, if I worship thee in fear of hell, burn me in hell. And if I worship thee in hope of paradise, exclude me from paradise. But if I worship thee for thine own sake, withhold not thine everlasting beauty."
Wow. That's incredibly direct.
Isn't it? It gets right to the heart of selfless, pure love.
Yeah.
A love that doesn't ask what's in it for me. It just gives. The highest worship, the lecture suggests, is when you actually forget yourself entirely. You become absorbed in the beloved. And it says, true love is constant, independent of circumstances, and grows even in silence.
So it's not transactional. It's steady, unconditional, deepens even when things are quiet.
Exactly. It endures.
Okay, so if Ishq is the driving force, this deep love, how does that actually show up? How do we practice that?
The lecture connects it very practically to sacrifice, Qurbani, and it breaks it down into 3 levels. Yeah, this makes it really tangible, moving from the feeling of ishq to actual actions. So level 1 is physical. These are the outward things we do, going to Jamaat Khana, observing rituals, offering dasand. They're like the foundation stones.
Okay, the visible commitment.
Right. Then comes the spiritual level. This is more internal. It includes things like dandagi meditation, tasbih, zikr, remembrance itself, and Giri Ozari, which is like conversational prayer. And crucially, this isn't just about scheduled worship times. It's about keeping that spiritual connection alive all the time, cultivating an inner state of remembrance throughout your day.
Right, integrating it, not just compartmentalizing it. And the third level?
The third is intellectual sacrifice. This is about the mind, seeking knowledge, really trying to understand it, then applying it, maybe even sharing it. It's about moving beyond just saying the words lip service to actually living the understanding, making it real. And the lecture ties this together by saying the more one sacrifices, the closer one becomes to the Imam. It's this dynamic relationship of giving and closeness.
I see. So it's the whole person involved, body, spirit, mind. And that brings us right to the importance of the intellect, doesn't it? The lecture is really clear. Remembrance isn't just fuzzy feelings. The mind has to be engaged. Otherwise, ritual without understanding can become, well, empty.
Totally empty, yeah. True remembrance, the source argues, needs both. A convinced intellect and a moved heart. They work together. It's not enough to just feel something. You need to understand why. And Imam Shah Karim al-Husseini's Farman is mentioned here, talking about a faith of conviction, not convenience.
Conviction, not convenience. That's powerful.
It is. It means not just going along with things because it's easy or what you've always done. It's about actively engaging, seeking knowledge, making the faith your own. There's a strong statement in the lecture about this. Don't follow just because you were told. Understand because you sought the truth.
Wow. That's a direct challenge. Move from inherited faith to chosen faith.
Exactly. An explored faith.
And the lecture then does this beautiful thing, bridging that intellectual side with the soul level resonance you get from things like poetry and traditional hymns.
Yes, it points to Sufi poetry and the Ismaili Ginans as these amazing vehicles for deep truth. They speak a language the soul gets,
Yeah.
Some bypassing the purely logical part of the brain. Think about Rumi, Rabia, the Ginans. They teach through metaphor, through motion. Love burns, longing is sacred, union is the goal. They awaken remembrance not with dry arguments, but through beauty, through feeling, through imagery that just clicks deep inside.
Yeah, they stir something that facts alone often can't. Which brings up a really practical question for today, with so much information flying around. How do we tell real knowledge from, well, everything else? How do we know what's actually good for our spiritual growth?
That's such a key question.
Yeah.
And the source gives us a way to discern. True knowledge, it says, brings light. It brings satisfaction to the soul. It resonates with the Imam's farmans, with the Quran, the Ginans. And importantly, it holds up to logic and reason, too. It inspires remembrance, brings clarity.
Okay, so it feels right, lines with guidance, makes sense, and inspires connection.
Right. False knowledge, on the other hand.
Yeah.
It might sound smart or appealing, but it leaves the heart feeling heavy, the soul kind of unfed, the mind restless. It creates dissonance. The ultimate test the lecture suggests is pretty straightforward. Ask yourself, does this bring me closer to the Imam?
Simple but profound.
If the answer is no, or if it creates distance, then maybe it's not the knowledge you need for your journey right now. It's about the impact on your connection.
That makes sense. So moving beyond just the individual, the lecture also talks about the community aspect, the power of being together in remembrance.
Oh, absolutely. This is really important.
Right.
Being in the company of people who are genuinely trying to remember the Imam constantly, who have that haki, that true knowledge.
Yeah.
It helps you maintain your connection. There's this lovely analogy used, like the roots of trees in a forest. They support each other underground. Even if you can't see it, the collective strength is there. Just like a young tree is stronger within the forest, our own spiritual roots get stronger from that community connection. And the message is really quite comforting. You don't need to remember perfectly. You just need to stay near those who do.
Wow. That takes some pressure off, doesn't it? Their strength helps lift you.
Exactly. It's a shared journey.
So, pulling all this together, what does it mean for us now on our path today? The lecture mentioned a shift in the Imam's guidance that sounds really relevant here.
Yes, this is quite beautiful. There's an emphasis on how the Imam is now guiding towards love, happiness, and understanding. Moving away from a focus primarily on, say, fear. Maybe historically, faith was sometimes presented with a heavy emphasis on avoiding hellfire.
Sure, that element exists.
But the guidance highlighted now is about becoming a joyful seeker. The emphasis is shifting towards light, towards mercy, towards compassion. Remember that fireman mentioned, I want to see my children happy. That really sums up a vision of faith that's liberating, where our devotion comes from joy and love, not primarily from fear or obligation. It encourages us to seek light, be compassionate.
Okay, so this brings us right back around, full circle, to that core question from the lecture, the really big one. If he does not force us to remember, will we remember him out of love?
That's the heart of it, isn't it? That's the challenge, the aspiration, to choose remembrance willingly, especially when things are okay, when life is comfortable, when there's no crisis pushing us. That choice, the lecture suggests, is the mark of real, authentic love. Ishq. We shouldn't wait for the tests, for the hardships to wake us up. This whole path we've talked about, Ishq, sacrifice, physical, spiritual, intellectual, seeking knowledge, it's presented not as a chore, but as a daily, deliberate choice.
A daily, deliberate choice.
Yeah, actively cultivating that inner life, consciously deciding to nurture that connection, day in and day out, no matter what else is going on.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with something really powerful to think about. How can we, each of us, cultivate that daily, deliberate choice? How do I make remembrance something that springs from that deep well of joyful, pure love, not just obligation or fear? Especially in those moments of ease, of comfort. How do we make that loving choice the foundation? Something to really ponder. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for our podcast, #3, on the topic of free will, with emphasis on submitting free will step by step and the theme that everything is possible in paradise. Until next time, take care and stay inspired.